Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective, and we're also a member of the College Huddle podcast community. If you're not already, be sure to give us a follow on all the social media platforms, especially our YouTube, Facebook. Feel free to subscribe, rate, review. Let us know what you think about the episodes. Before we get started into the episode, I do want to talk about our sponsor. That is the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. And just let the pros do the moving, man. I promise you they'll make your life and job and needs a whole lot easier. Got Tyler here with me as always. We're going to jump into a big and insightful episode, man. Tyler, you ready to dive in?
Yeah, man. Let's get into this. Excited about it. Football season coming up. Can't wait.
But before we dive in to this episode, we do have to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap-up, which catches us up with all the WKU athletics that we've missed since we last recorded, and that is brought to us by Trent Bedding Company. So let's get a word from Trent and dive in.
Don't forget your headboard, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green. All right. Hey!
Twins, full, queen and king, mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
Hitting us with that smooth jam, Trent Bedding. Let's get into it. This is preseason watch list season right here. So Davin Smith, he named to the Warfel Trophy watch list. The All-State Warfel Trophy embodies a Warfel commitment to being a humanitarian while honoring student athletes who are inspired to serve others and make positive impacts on society. So congratulations, Davin.
Yeah, absolutely. Dalvin has been a fixture in the community, obviously from nearby in Glasgow, your neck of the woods. So, enjoy getting to see him get recognized because he's definitely in the community. Every time, Red Towel Trust or WKU football shows any type of just community event, Dalvin's always right there. That big smile, you can't miss it.
And moving on to another one, Easton Messer, he named to the Paul Hornung Awards watch list. The Paul Hornung Award is given annually to the most versatile player in major college football by the Louisville Sports Commission.
Yeah, deserved recognition for Easton. I didn't look at the whole list, but I would guess he's probably one of the younger players on the list. He's just a redshirt sophomore, but kick returner, punt returner, wide receiver out of the slot, can just kind of do it all. And that versatility was recognized just after one season partially being on the field. So really looking forward and excited to, what he contributes and how he grows this year. Cause obviously they see his potential and I'm excited for it.
Anthony Johnson, he was named to the Jim Thorpe Awards watch list. This is awarded to the nation's best defensive back, and Johnson is one of 42 on the initial list.
Yeah, 1 out of 42, pretty prestigious company. Anthony had a really solid year last year. Kind of was that breakout player in the secondary. Had 4 interceptions, several pass breakups. Just had a really good year. Yeah, obviously Upton Stout. We think a lot about him. He had some injury concerns last year. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes his way onto this list as the season progresses. But just the preseason version of this list has Anthony on it, and very proud and excited for him.
Quantavious Leslie, he was named to the Outland Trophy watch list. The Outland Trophy recognizes standout interior linemen, which for them big boys in the middle, that's great.
Yeah, no surprise here. I mean, Def Taxes and Quintavious Leslie being a all conference type performer. So congratulations to him. Another one of those players. We're glad to have him back. So looking forward to his leadership on that line.
Moving on to track, WKU track announced the signing of Ricardo Smith. He's a transfer from Brescia University who runs hurdles amongst other events.
Yeah, really excited for that. The press release I saw said he was a record breaker from Brescia University. So I didn't break that down and see what type of records he was breaking, but obviously he's a pretty good athlete and performer. So always welcome to that. So he's not coming, far down the road from Owensboro, from Brescia to here. So excited to have him on the hill. Welcome to the hill, Ricardo.
TJ Finley was named to the Maxwell Award watch list. This award has been presented annually to the most outstanding player in college football since 1937.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that'll make people go, "Well, I guess that's the starter." But that's not necessarily what this means. A lot of people are penciling him in, assuming he'll be the starter just by his resume and his credentials. And I think this just kind of highlights the potential that he may have on this team if he is named the starter. Had a really good and productive season last year at Texas State. And it's just getting recognized for that. If he wins the starting job here, it's not in stone at this point. Fall camp is underway. So excited for whoever wins that starting job. But if it's TJ, there's a lot of potential and upside there.
WKU football debuted the long-awaited red helmets, and they look absolutely fantastic. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. This likely signals the end of the era of the Chrome Dome, even though I hope and I pray that maybe they'll bring them back maybe one game a year, 2 games a season. But, with the red helmets, chef's kiss.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Those red helmets are sharp. It's nice to get that, that 90s, early 2000s throwback look. I mean, they were sharp back then, but just bringing them back, kind of reinvigorating them. We had heard about it for a couple years now that they were probably going to come back. The Chrome Dome is over my shoulder. More than likely, RIP to it. It had a good run since Bobby Petrino was here. Way back in 13, 14, I think we debuted those. So they had a good run. They're sharp. They were iconic for a lot of years. Not my favorite helmet in our repertoire. I've always leaned towards the white helmets, but the chrome definitely stood out and was unique. But I'm also really excited about these red helmets and just how we used them with the different decals that we had. So I'm excited for the red. Not gonna lie.
WKU football had 6 players named to the East-West Shrine Bowl 1000 watch list. They are Kyshawn Johnson, Quantavious Leslie, TJ Finley, Anthony Johnson, Upton Stout, and Dalvin Smith.
Yeah, a lot of those names we're going to be saying multiple times during this episode, this wrap up, because it is talking season since we've had media day, and now we have all these preseason awards and watch lists, etc. And the East West Shrine Bowl just recognized 1,000 players, and it was nice that we had 6. I think that was most in Conference USA. Just all the guys, several we've already talked about. Add Upton Stout to that list. Just obviously a lot of talent on this team, and excited for them to get recognized and hopefully get that opportunity after the season ends.
And special teams getting some love. Lucas Canario was named to the 2024 Conference USA preseason special team player of the year. So that's always good to have.
Yeah, take that, Phil Steele. Ranked us the number 1 special teams unit in Conference USA, but did not have one kicker, punter, returner on the first 4 teams of your all Conference USA teams. I'm still baffled and befuddled by that, but we don't have to agree on everything. But Lucas, our man, not quite friend of the podcast, but definitely was kind of my breakout guy last year, and I had high expectations for him, and he really performed at a high level last year. As a I think he was a redshirt freshman last year, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a still young player. And obviously proved that he has a lot of talent and skill. So that's a high honor. I mean, that's voted on by the media members. So congratulations to Lucas.
WKU football was voted to finish second in Conference USA, receiving 2 first place votes. They're right behind Liberty.
Yeah, a little role reversal because last year we were almost in the exact opposite position. Last year we were the heavy voted favorite by media in Conference USA. Leading into media days, it was okay. Western has Austin Reed, Malachi Corley. They're the lead dog. They're going to run away with the conference. We have a bunch of unknown teams, but we all know how last year ended: injuries and just a lot of adversity, and we just didn't perform to how we wanted to. So maybe it's role reversal time. Maybe Liberty, is on the receiving end of some of those injury blows and just adversity, and maybe they, take some lumps that they didn't experience last year. So I'm okay with being second place. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. We're not there right now, so it's Liberty right now. They were defending champions from last year, so to be the man, you got to beat the man. I'm okay with being number two. Let's go get them. Let's go win a game in Lynchburg.
All right, now this next one, you're going to hear some names that we've heard previously. 5 Hilltoppers were named to the 2024 Conference USA preseason watch list. They are Quantavious, Tick Leslie, Lucas Canario, Hosea Wheeler, Elijah Young, and Upton Stout.
Yeah, Conference USA did something different this year. They didn't have like first team, second team, third team, honorable mention teams that they had done in past years. They just had 5 players recognized from each team, which I don't I don't like or dislike. I think it's pretty cool. Honestly, to recognize 5 players, they could have recognized more than 5 on our team. I feel like we have so much talent and good players on our team that if they had done, first through third and honorable mention, we would have had more than 5. But it is what it is. That's a lot of players to comb through. But those 5 that we had mentioned and recognized definitely deserving. And obviously, I think we got several more that we've already talked about that are right up there with them as well.
All right, moving to one former Hilltopper and current Bay Area Panther, Antoine Kincaid of the Indoor Football League, led the league in tackles during the regular season with 101 and a half, and he did miss 4 games, so that's damn near impressive.
Yeah, pro tops, baby. Put the hashtag up there, stamp it in, because man, Antoine Kincaid making a name for himself. 101.5 tackles, and he missed 4 games. Leading the league that's insane. I don't know how many games they play, but just to miss 4 games and still have over 100 tackles and lead the league is insane. He was an impactful player. He was kind of that Devin Key. Always had nose for the ball, playing near the line of scrimmage. Um, that Kendrick Simpkins we had last year was in that kind of same role. He was impactful here, and nice to see him still doing that in the indoor football league. Maybe that parlays into potential pro opportunity in the future. Who knows? I'd be happy for him if it did. Man, go Antoine.
For people who have been yearning for some news of a WKU Marshall matchup, like I know both of us have, John Rothstein, he announced a basketball series beginning between Marshall and WKU starting this year in Diddle Arena on November 30th. So everyone needs to be there, show them Marshall Thunder and Turds what a right and proper butt kicking looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle of first year coaches in Diddle Arena this year because obviously Hank Plona in year 1, and they just got rid of Dan D'Antoni over this last offseason, so they are breaking in a new coach as well. I don't know much or nearly anything about their roster. I just know John Elmore is not there anymore, so I feel pretty good about our chances of them coming into Diddle Arena. Should be fun, long awaited series. Obviously, we talked about it a few weeks ago with Todd Stewart when we had him on the show that we would love to get a series, football and basketball with Marshall, UAB, those type of teams that were former conference mates of ours. So glad to see that one ironed out and is on the schedule officially for basketball. Hopefully soon in the near future it could be there for football as well. There's plenty of open dates after next year, so glad to see it, man. This year's basketball schedule looks pretty good.
Now, this I saw it on Twitter. I know you did too. And I had someone send it to me, and I was like, "Is that it?" And I found the answer. Reds Ellie De La Cruz broke WKU Twitter by appearing in a game utilizing a Big Red sliding mitt that was created for our softball team. So that's pretty awesome that he was out there rocking that.
Yeah, I think you actually were the one that sent that to me. I don't know what I was doing. I was at home and you sent it to me. Then I got on Twitter, and it just was kind of blowing up everywhere. Just everybody talking about it and where he got it from and how he got it. And it turns out he has a contract with the company that makes the gloves. He gets one of every glove that they make. Absolutely ridiculous. Pretty cool that he got one and he decided to wear it. It was designed by WKU alum Kelly Wilson, Red Towel Trust founders Hank Wilson's wife. So pretty cool. Just really just neat little thing. Obviously, they're the big red machine, so it makes sense. He wore a big red glove. It kind of fit. It all came together. And it was just a cool, like, man, I can't believe he did that because he's one of the biggest stars in the major leagues and repping the tops. Let's go.
Moving on to some Olympic news, actually. Former Hilltopper Kyrie King is competing in the Paris Olympics as part as the 4x100 track team. Best of luck, Kyrie.
Yeah, so as we're recording, Noah Lyles just won that 100-meter dash just a couple hours ago, and photo finish fashion. It'll be a couple weeks before this episode comes out, but that was exciting. Always fun to hear a hilltopper competing in the Olympics. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago that Claire Donahue was winning a gold medal. But it's nice to have a hilltopper there. Hopefully we run well in the 4x1. I feel like that event is later today or tomorrow. So maybe we'll see him out there in the heats or in the final. Who knows? But best of luck, Kyrie, man. Go get gold.
Now, so this is another pro tops thing that I've seen on Twitter a lot. I know you have, and hopefully a lot of people have. But Malachi Corley seems to be getting a lot of love with his on the field during the Jets camp, which is just awesome. Aaron Rodgers be talking him up. That's always good to see a future legend like that talk about one of our former pro tops.
Yeah, it seems like every other day I get on Twitter. Yeah, I've started following a lot of Jets media people, and it just, I see press conference highlights and just, Rogers or Garrett Wilson talking about Malachi, or I see a clip of him making a crazy catch in practice, or just him running out and hyping up the crowd. Like, he seems to be an instant crowd and fan favorite. And I know he was kind of the same here at Western. He was that approachable, humble, always smiling guy. And then when he got between the lines, man, you didn't want to line up against him. He was a monster. He always made a play, and that's kind of the same thing that they're seeing in with the Jets. And I'm happy for him. I'm excited for him. I think the Jets play at the Titans like week 1 or week 2. Planning on going to Nashville, seeing him, up close and hopefully getting a chance to get on the field. So really happy and excited for him, man. Just go Malachi, go be great.
And we're going to wrap it up with the Rodney Howard. He is officially signed with a Romania team, SCM Craiova. Best of luck to our newest hashtag ProTops. Go be great, Rodney.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I mean, I ran into him a few weeks ago at Diddle Arena. Was there and ran into him. I was just talking to him, and he just mentioned that he had an agent. And he was talking to some European teams, and then a couple weeks ago, I reached out to him just saying, "Hey, just checking on you, see how you're doing. What's up, man?" And he was like, "Actually, I just signed with a Romanian team." And let us announce that news. We're usually not a news breaking outfit. That's not who we claim to be or want to be. If you go back to episode 1, we said we're not going to do that unless someone tells us to do that. And Rodney Howard said, I was just thinking about y'all's episode that we did. It was awesome. This is crazy that you're messaging me and just checking on me. He said, put it out there. So we put it out there. And then, a few days later, it became official from the Romanian account. And then WKU basketball tweeted it out. And it's just pretty cool to get to be a part of that and announcing that and just sharing it with Hilltopper Nation. Just seeing one of our own who, he was only here for a year, but again, he was just another one of those big personalities. Obviously 6'11", huge guy, but he was just a great player in person while I was here. So just really happy and excited for him. And, like you said, go be great, Rodney, man. You're a monster. You're a force. Once he gets comfortable, he's going to be tough to contain wherever he plays. So I'm really happy and excited for him.
Yeah, for real. I'm just going to say one last thing. He was one of my favorite players from this last year's team. Just seemed like a very humble man. Was out there, and he was going to do his job. And I'm thrilled to death that he has the opportunity to go out there and play professional basketball. I hope he does great. I hope he is able to eventually parlay that into a NBA contract, and I can't wait to see what the future has for him in store. But with that, that concludes the WKU or the Red Tail Wrap Up, brought to you by Trent Bedding Company. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, man, that was a heck of a wrap up. Like I mentioned earlier, we are in talking season now. Media days was not long ago. All these preseason awards and watch list and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody just talking about on paper who's the best, what players and teams to watch out for. So a lot of good stuff. Really happy for all the Hilltoppers that were highlighted, that were recognized. Obviously, we have just finished up the position series breakdown for 2024. I really hope that everyone listening that tunes in on a regular basis, I hope they really enjoyed listening to those episodes, getting to learn about all the new and returning and incoming Hilltoppers, all the familiar faces and the position battles. I really hope they enjoyed that just as much as we did, because I know over the years I've been doing this, that's one of my favorite parts of this process of podcasting and recording and getting ready for a new episode is really diving in and getting to know our team better than I just do from a surface level, just being a casual fan going to games. I really enjoy getting to dive in to the Field Steel magazine, the WKU football online roster, height, weight, name, number of every single player, where they came from, how they contributed, what to expect from them here, who's going to start. Just a whole lot of fun. As we record now, fall camp is underway. This past week, it was week 1. And now we literally officially play football this month. We've been talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Every time we record, it's 6 weeks away, it's 5 weeks away, it's 4 weeks away. Now we're less than 4 weeks away from kicking off at Alabama. So we are going to jump into our 2024 season preview and predictions. Before we do that, let's just talk about real quick about 2023. We mentioned it earlier. We were the preseason favorites last year, but we finished the year 8-5 overall. We were 5-3 in Conference USA play. We had losses to Ohio State, Troy, Jacksonville State, Liberty, and New Mexico State. And our wins were over South Florida, Houston Christian, Middle Tennessee, La Tech, UTEP, Sam Houston, and FIU. Coach Helton capped off his 5th season as a head coach with an unforgettable, famous Toastery bowl game victory over ODU. Coach Helton is now 40-26 overall and is now entering his 6th season on the Hill. So, Tyler, I guess before we dive into this year and this schedule and what to expect, what are your thoughts on just, I guess, Helton's tenure here and just this last season, looking towards season 6 with Coach Helton at the helm?
Well, Hilton's tenure here, I've been happy with it. I've been pleased with it. We've had some wins against some major P4, P5 teams, but there's always a few games, it seems like every season, that we let slip away. Last year, La Tech finished 3-9, I think it was. We almost lost to them. I was kind of thinking that we would be able to beat some of the newest members of Conference USA last year, since they were coming from the FCS schedule or the FCS ranks. And we only was able to beat 3 of the 4. And I thought maybe last year would be a better year because we had that continuity of, Austin Reed, Malachi Corley, and, whatever happened on the field, something ball didn't bounce our way sometimes, injuries, those always play a part in it. I'm still happy with going 8-5, especially with that bowl win. Just wish I would have bet on it back whenever our money line was like 2,000 plus 2,000. But can't go back and change it. But I'm always looking forward to what this upcoming season is going to be and what this upcoming season the teams we're going to play, the memories we're going to make, and hopefully we see some outrageous offense on our side of the ball. But I always go into the season hopeful, clear-eyed. Wait, how's it go? Clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. So I mean, with that being said, let's jump into it, man. Because I'm excited. I think Kelton's going to have a hell of a year, and I think the team's going to play a hell of a good brand of ball.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. We're going to talk about the schedule in its entirety. We're going to talk about all 12 games. First, we're going to jump into the non-conference schedule, which this year I really like. Last few years I really liked our non-conference schedule. We play at Alabama, we host EKU and Toledo, and then we play at Boston College. So first, let's talk about the Alabama game. We're going down to Tuscaloosa, opening the season on Saturday, August 31st. The game will be on ESPN and is a 6 p.m. kick. This will be the fourth ever meeting between Alabama and WKU. We're currently 0-3 versus Alabama, with the last game occurring in 2016. Last year, Alabama finished 12-2 on the year. They were 8-0 in SEC play. And they lost to Michigan in the college football playoff semifinals. And they went on to win the national championship. And now they're getting all these allegations of cheating and, notice of allegations. So maybe there's an asterisk in the near future. I don't know. But Alabama's still Alabama. Nick Saban did retire after the season ended. After 17 years, that was the big news out of Tuscaloosa. Obviously, for their off season and now heading into the new season, they hired Kalen DeBoer from Washington University, where, quite frankly, they just finished runner-up to Michigan in the college football playoffs in that national championship. So he's been a very successful coach at the NAIA level and over the past several years in the Pac-12. DeBoer has an overall coaching record of 104-12. His staff is littered with former WKU staff members, coaches, etc. Nick Sheridan, Jamarcus Shepard, and Brian Ellis. So, it's going to be an interesting game. Game one of a new era. The Nick Saban era is not there anymore. You kind of always knew what to expect and what you're getting. And, Alabama was 5 stars on top of 5 stars. And when they come out, more 5 stars were coming in. And I'm sure it's still going to be tough. On paper, it's still Alabama versus WKU, but it's game one of a new regime, a new coaching era. There's turnover, no doubt, coaching staff wise, player wise. There's going to just be unknown on that football field. And quite frankly, I'm excited that we're game one, because who the heck knows? Why not us? Tyler, how do you feel about this game? How does it look to you on paper?
All right, so this is, I think they have officially renamed the field like Nick Saban Field or Saban Field, right? So this is game one on Saban Field. I honestly thought he was going to.
Not yet. Their second home game, they're renaming it.
Oh, come on, losers. Anyway, it's the unofficial Nick Saban Field, Roll Tide, whatever. I think that you're right. This is another good chance for us to shock the world. Alabama, they did lose a lot of players, 31 to the portal to be exact. And last season, they averaged 35.8 points per game and 409 yards per game. And DeBoer does like to run a high-powered offense. And I wouldn't expect anything less since he's coming to Alabama. He is getting Cube Milroe back, and he is also getting an improved offensive line with plenty of skill talent in the skill positions. Phil Steele also has their defense rated as number 7th in the country. So WKU better be on top of their P's and Q's and making good, crisp passes and making smart play calling. Phil Steele has him giving up 20.6 points per game. Crazier things have happened. And let's not forget, App State beat Michigan at home. So I think we can go in there and win it. I think this will be a good game to show where I don't know if this will be the best game to show where the team is, but hey, I'm always down for a challenge and always ready to go see Big Red take on either the Buckeyes or the Big Elephants. Either way, I'm going to be rooting for WKU. But I do feel like this is going to be an uphill battle because we know how SE teams like to play. Um, Normally, their size and in the trenches will wear us down over the game. So I think this will be a good game to watch. Hopefully, it's a lot better than the Ohio State game last year.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is it's a buy game. I think I forget how much we're getting, like 1.9 million to go down to Tuscaloosa and play. Obviously, I wish that was a little bit more. I think they can afford it. I remember I was down there the last couple times we played them in 2012 and 2016. They have a really nice campus, great stadium, fun tailgating environment. I can't wait to be down there this year. It's going to be fun, but we're down there to play and win a football game. I'm not coming in thinking we can't win this game. I know it's going to take a lot of things falling in our favor and playing a really good and or perfect football game and having some luck bounce on our side, but it's not impossible. And what I don't want to happen is what happened last year at Ohio State. We took a lot of just risky decisions, risky plays, and it led to a really lopsided score against Ohio State. Now, granted, we had nothing to lose going to Columbus either, playing a top 5 caliber team. Ohio State was really good on paper, and they showed it on the field. They're really talented in all 3 levels playing football. So, but any team's beatable. They all put their pants on same way we do, one leg at a time. They're going to lace up the football. Hey, I got little Mofisms in there. I could do it. But we've got to go play this football game, and they're beatable. The game's winnable. We just have to strategize and put a game plan together and execute and see what happens. Like you said, App State beat Michigan all those years ago. Marshall beat Notre Dame just a couple years ago. I mean, upsets happen every single year. Why not us? So that said, Tyler, what are your score predictions and thoughts on this game? If you have to pencil it in, who you got winning?
I'm going to let you go first on this one.
I'll go first. I'll do it. So, as red as my glasses are, I'm not going to pencil us in winning. I have us losing, but I have us losing by a score of 42-17. I have it written down. We don't share notes. We don't compare notes. I don't know what you're going to say, or if you have us winning, by a field goal at the last second, I'll love it. I'm going to be there. I'm cheering for it. I hope you come with me, quite frankly. But I have Alabama winning 42-17. Give us 1.9 million, and hopefully we get out of there healthy. Let's go.
All right. I just want to do that game. I just want to see where your head was at because I don't know your notes. You don't know mine. I think we come out and we'll have to play, like you said, a damn near perfect game. But I don't think we need to play tight. We need to play loose. Hopefully, we don't make some boneheaded decisions like we did last season. But I think in the end, I would love to see WKU win. But in the end, I think we do get beat by the Crimson Tide. Now, my score, we score more than 17 points. We lose to a score of 52-30, which I think, depending on who the QB is, one has some SEC experience, used to playing against that kind of talent, and one can make an unbelievable comeback, just pop out of thin air. Smart play calling, smart passing. But I do think we lose this game. Like I said, give us our 1.9 and show us the money.
Hey, I can respect that. That's I mean, if it happens that way, I mean, if you put up 30 on Bama, I feel pretty good. Granted, if they get 52, I mean, it happens, but I feel pretty good either way. Win, lose, or draw, I just want to come out there healthy. Quite frankly, I want to go down there, have a good time, tailgate, soak it in, the SEC football experience, and have a good time. Come back, win, lose, or draw. I would rather win, but let's see what happens. Let's play it. Our next out of conference game is on Saturday, 9-7, we host EKU for our first home game of the year. It is a 6 p.m. kickoff. The game is on ESPN Plus. It is a whiteout, and this is the historic Battle of the Bluegrass rivalry. EKU is led by former WKU assistant coach Walt Wells. Last season, they finished 5-6 overall. They were 4-2 in the United Athletic Conference, which is a merger of the ASUN and the WAC, which I didn't even know happened. But we don't keep up with little brothers, so good for EKU and the United Athletic Conference. So all time, WKU leads the series 49 wins, 34 losses, and 3 ties. We last played in 2017 with WKU winning by a score of 31-17. So Tyler, what are your thoughts, man? We're playing, one of our the other directional Kentucky school, somebody that we kind of look at as little brother. How do you feel about this EKU game and on paper how it looks?
Well, I first like to say the United Athletic Conference. That sounds whack. It's a little play on words there. Dad joke. Just getting it in there. But to me, this is a trap game because you're second game of the season. You're coming off a big game playing a potential national champion to playing the Eastern Kentucky Mouth Breathers, and we all know how Helton has had early season woes against FCS opponents, but he always talks about forgetting the last game, just focus on the next game. So we'll see if he can get the dudes on track for that. But I seriously hope he does because this is a rivalry game, and we ain't played these guys since 2017, you said? This would be a great win. Get the fans into it because it is a whiteout. Battle of the Bluegrass, East versus West. You can't get better than that. But I don't think we lose this game, and I can't wait to give you my score predictions on this one. But this is a trap game. This to me, definition of a trap game.
Yeah, I'm glad we have this game back on the schedule. Same for basketball. We played them over the last few years. We played them a couple times in basketball, home and away. So I'm glad that EKU has found its way back on the schedule, and I don't want to look at them I don't want to say we're big brother, they're little brother, because when we ask Louisville and Kentucky to play us, that's how they look at us. I want them to openly schedule us and play us without the fear of losing, just like I want us to openly play the EKUs and the Murrays and etc. of the Kentucky college world. So I'm glad we scheduled them. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be an every year thing, but if it's every 3-4 years that we play EKU, we give them a spanking and a beat down and send them back to Richmond with their tail between their legs, so be it. I think it's a good series to have on the schedule. Obviously, Walt Wells was a great coach and is well respected while he's here. We know he had some health issues over the last couple of years. We hope he's healthy and ready to coach and receive what is coming to him in our home opener this year, because I don't think it's going to be pretty either. And I am also ready to hear your score prediction. So, Tyler, what do you think it looks like? How do you think it plays out on the field?
Well, I'm going to echo what I said earlier. Hopefully, we don't have one of them early season woes against these type of teams that we have. And you're right; it would be great to see us schedule them more often because, to me, it is kind of good. It's always a good rivalry to have during football. East versus West. For some schools, North versus South. Directional schools, it's great to have. I think we come out and we absolutely curb stomp them. I'm not going to say 69-10, even though I really want to, but my score is going to be 49-10. So at least we let them score twice in garbage time.
Well, 49-10 win for you. I'm not far off of you. I have us at a 42-10 win, so we were within 7 of each other, man. Not far off, giving up 10 points. one of us scores 6 touchdowns, one of us scores 7. So I'll take either one of those. If either one of those happens, I will love it. Let's beat them down, send them back to Richmond, like I said earlier. Good to have them back on the schedule, but probably not going to be pretty for them. I hate it for them. Now, looking.
Real quick, I just want to say, Richmond or AKU, you ain't the only city in Kentucky with a Bucky's now. So
Yeah,
get
sorry.
that over.
Smiths Grove gang, what up?
Losers.
Looking forward to our next out of conference game. We have Toledo. We're playing them in week 4. Obviously, they're from the MAC conference. They're coached by Jason Candle, who is entering his 9th season. He has a 65-35 overall record. The game is going to be on Saturday, September 21st, with a 6 p.m. kickoff. This is parents and family weekend. Wear red or white. I'm in the camp of wear red every game, white out, black out, red out. I'm wearing red. Sorry. Last season, Toledo finished 11-3. They were 8-0 in conference play, and they were ranked number 23 at one point in the Associated Press poll. They closed their season by losing the MAC championship game to Miami, Ohio. Inland lost their bowl game to Wyoming by a score of 15-16, which just sounds painful. I'd rather watch paint dry than watch a 15-16 game. But this is the first ever meeting between Western Kentucky and Toledo. But WKU has won 7 straight games versus MAC opponents dating back to the 2014 season. So it's a good game on the schedule. Yeah, when we scheduled it a few years ago, obviously we didn't know they were going to go 11-3 this last year, but we know that they're in the top half of the MAC conference pretty consistently. They're a good team. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts on this Toledo game and just how it looks on paper?
So they're actually this is a good game. It's a game where both teams are ranked second in their conferences. Of course, they lost a lot of starters. They're only returning 8, 4 on offense, 4 on defense, and with that, they lost their first team All MAC QB, first team All MAC running back, and all 5 offensive linemen, which 3 of them were All MAC. So our defense could have a big day against them. And on the defensive side of the ball, their coach said they are strong in the defensive tackle, middle linebacker, and safety. And they also got 2 P5 transfers, which add to their toughness. But I see us taking care of business with this being at home.
Yeah, like you said, this is a really good matchup. I'm glad we scheduled it. They're a top team from the MAC, which one I never want to join. I have been very staunch on that, very loud and active and saying when those rumors pop up, we do not want to go to the MAC and play Eastern and Central and whatever Southern Michigan and all the other Michigans and Ohio teams. We don't want to go there. But Toledo's a good team. Miami, Ohio, every few years we play them, they're a good team. They were 11-3 last year. They were ranked in the AP poll. But like you said, they only returned 8 starters. So this is not 2023 Toledo. This is a whole new unit. Granted, they have a good and experienced coach. I'm sure their intent is to reload and, next man up. But they are replacing a lot of starters and productivity and guys that produced and known entities last year. So, I'm excited. I think this is a good game. I think it's a winnable game. I'm glad it's on the schedule. I think it's a tough test leading into the rest of the schedule. So, Tyler, what do you have for your score prediction for Toledo?
And I just want to say, first of all, I'm with you. I hate the MAC. I don't want to go to the MAC. I don't want to travel to Michigan, Ohio, upstate New York to play Buffalo. To me, that just sounds terrible. I really don't want to go too far north of the Ohio River ever. But I see us winning 28-17. Tops win.
28-17, kind of a low scoring affair out of you. I'm shocked after the Alabama score. I'm really shocked. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm going a little higher. I'm going that WKU scores 38 and Toledo scores 28. So we win by 10. Tops win, you win, we lit, baby. I think our defensive side of the ball, I don't know what to expect. And I think Toledo, not last year's Toledo, but I still think they're going to be pretty good. So let's see. But I think we both have us winning. I'm excited for that. Should be a solid home game. But then looking forward, we play Boston College to finish our out of conference schedule. We travel up to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. The game is on Saturday, September 28th. The kickoff time has not been announced yet. The game has also not been slotted if it's going to be on TV as of now. Boston College is coached by Bill O'Brien. It is his first season at Boston College. He's previously coached at Penn State and with the Texans in the NFL. And most recently, he was with the Alabama Crimson Tide and the New England Patriots in the NFL. Last season, Boston College finished 7-6. They were 3-5 in conference play, and they ended the season by beating SMU in the Fenway Bowl 23-14. This is the first ever meeting between the schools, and WKU has lost 7 consecutive games versus current Power 4 schools. So obviously, we need to reverse that trend. And there is one interesting storyline coming into this game. There is a familiar face. Boston College has a running back on their roster, which played for Western at one point just a couple seasons ago, and that is Kai Robichaux. I think we'll all remember him. Was a very dynamic and contributing back just a couple years ago. Had a little bit of injury problems, but came back and was just a really good running back. And then transferred to Boston College, played for them this last year, and now is in his senior year. So we know a little bit of what they bring to the table. They're a P4 school. We're going to be on the road. It could be a tough game. Tyler, what are your thoughts on how it looks on paper?
Well, I tell you, I was going to bring up that Kai Robichaux transferring up there because it's going to be weird seeing him out there in a different school's colors. But some ACC love on the schedule. You're right. This is another hard road test. They are bringing back 9 starters, including their QB, who is a dual threat. So our defense needs to be keyed in on that one. He actually last year rushed for 1,289 yards. And that was on 215 attempts. And he passed he's more of a runner than he is passer. So I know that's our Achilles heel sometimes, especially the last year, looking at you, Liberty. But, I think, and their 8 defensive starters they returned allowed 385 yards per game and gave up 28.3 points per game, which they are slated to about have the same numbers this year. I think it is in our advantage that they they do have a new head coach. Maybe he was there for 3, his first year there. So maybe learning a new kind of scheme, offense or defense, maybe it'll take them a little bit to get into that groove, and maybe we can hit them before they do it. But I think this is a winnable game. I always love to get to P4, P5, P4 wins. That's so stupid. But I'm excited to see WKU go in there and get the win. I've already keyed it down as a win.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead, but yeah, I mentioned earlier, we've lost 7 games versus P4 opponents our last 7 tries. We've been really close to beat Michigan a couple times, or Indiana a couple times, home and away. We played Michigan State pretty tough. I think our last P4 victory was Vanderbilt, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe Arkansas. Actually, it's probably Arkansas. We played them the Ty Story year, so that was probably our last P4 win. But yeah, we need to get that monkey off our back. It seems like the ACC wins. I remember a few years ago, I think it was a Dowdy year, 14. We had Illinois on the ropes. We probably should have beat them. Didn't pull it out. Both Indiana games that we lost home and away, we probably should have beat them. So it's time to end that drought and get us a P4 win. Obviously, it's going to be tough. I don't think it's quite as it's not Alabama level where we need to go play a perfect game and have some luck bounce on our side. We just need to go perform and be elite offensively, which I think we can be, and be sound defensively. We don't need to turn the ball over. We don't need to shoot ourselves in the foot. We need to just execute, take care of the ball, and go score points. That's what's going to come down to. Score one more than Boston College. Sounds easy. I can say it in a microphone. Pretty easy. No pressure, Coach Elton. But Tyler, what do you have the score prediction for Boston College?
You're right. We're definitely going to need the defense to bring back their turnover tops. What was it last season? Like four turnovers or 3 turnovers, and it was almost a guarantee we win. And I'm just real quick going to go back and look at some of their games they played last year that they lost. They lost to Northern Illinois by a score of 24-7. First game of the season. Second game of the season, Holy Cross. They beat them 31-28. So, most of their games were scored in the 20s. They lost to Louisville 28-56. The highest game they scored was, there's Georgia Tech. That was the highest scoring game that they had, and they had scored 38 points. So their QB may be a runner, may be dual threat, but, they really ain't putting up numbers in bunches. So I think WKU wins this one by a score of 34-27. Let's go Tops.
So I'm writing your numbers down as we go. So 34-27, you have us winning by a touchdown. I also have us winning, but I have us winning by just a field goal, maybe a last second field goal. Who knows? But I have us winning 31-28 to finish out our non-conference schedule. I have us going 3-1 in non-conference play, which would be astounding because I think as much as we both want to be Alabama, it's probably a loss. And you also have us going 3-1 in non-conference play, so pretty good. Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, hadn't muted myself. While we were talking about that game, you put their score 28. I originally had my score down 28-27 Tops win, but we got to talking about it. I got second thoughts because during this non-conference schedule, whenever I was writing the notes down a few nights ago, I had a few adult beverages, so that's why if some of the scores may be a little wonky, that's because. But that's all I need to say. Let's get into the conference schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. And we open conference play with a familiar face, a familiar foe. We play MTSU in week 3, which kind of breaks up the Toledo Boston College game for the historic 100 Miles of Hate game. WKU has won 5 straight in this series. We've won 9 of the last 12. We now lead the all-time series, 37 wins to 35 losses and 1 tie. It has been over 2,100 days now. When I made my notes, it was 2099, and that was several days ago. So it's been over 2,100 days now since MTSU won a game in this series dating back to 11-18, which was during the Coach Mike Sanford era, which I'm sorry, guys, ain't here anymore. Last year, we won the 2023 game in Bowling Green by a score of 31-10. MTSU finished last season 4-8 on the season. They were 3-5 in conference, and they ultimately fired former coach Rick Stockstill, aka 6-6 Rick, which, quite frankly, kind of surprised me. He had been there for, I think, 17 years, and they were just okay with being average. But since then, they have hired head coach Derek Mason. He was previously the head coach at Vanderbilt and was most recently the defensive coordinator at Auburn and Oklahoma State. Now, there has obviously been a lot of roster and coaching turnover as expected with the new coaching hire, but expectations are finally pointing north, and there's a little bit of simmering excitement in Murfreesboro for the first time in a decade plus. It's been a long time now. They do return dynamic quarterback Nick Vadiato, and they should be more competitive than they were in 2023 if Derek Mason can strengthen the defense, which he's known for. Even when he was at Vanderbilt, they had a tough defense when we played them. Back in 13 and 14 or 14 and 15, whatever it was. We won down there. In Nashville, we won with Brandon Doughty and that offense 14-12. So he puts a good defense on the field, and was a defensive coordinator, recently for Auburn and Oklahoma State. I think that's kind of his strength and what he's known for. There's a lot of unknown there in Murfreesboro. They do bring back Nick Vadiato, who was a dynamic, dual threat runner, can throw the ball. But there's just a lot of rebuilding going on there. There's a lot of just re-energizing the community and the campus, and just stuff they had been lacking over the last decade plus. They just have really fallen off the map as far as attendance. If you've ever been to a game at MTSU, it's pick a seat. Where do you want to sit? It's all bleachers and tinfoil and aluminum and some Dollar General type tent situation they have going on down in their one end zone. So I know they're trying to copy us, but it's not cute. It doesn't look good. But they could be competitive this year. There's a lot of unknowns. So Tyler, what does this rivalry game look like on paper to you?
Well, see, I think you're giving them too much credit by saying it's a Dollar General. I was thinking more like a Flealand type tent situation. Whenever I was there, the whole upper section was just blocked off. It was completely embarrassing. But two rivalry games in a week towards the beginning of the schedule. I mean, if this don't get your fire going, your wood's wet. All right. I mean, first and foremost, let's just say that Battle of Bluegrass, then 100 Miles of Hate. I mean, I love it. Now these guys are ranked number 9th in Conference USA by Phil Steele. And you're right, they bring back the QB and the running back, but they did lose 4 of their starting O-linemen, and they lost 5 of their 6 top wide receivers. Now they're only bringing back 7 starters, 4 on offense, 3 on defense. So I think, he's going to have to pull a miracle out of his ass if he, and it can be done, but I just don't think he's going to have the ability to do that down there at MTSU. I know Phil says the strength of their defense is their linebacker core, so let's see what they can do against us. I think our running back is going to run it right down our throats. I think our receivers are going to get behind them, and I think it's going to get ugly quick. And I may be giving them too much credit whenever we do our score prediction. I was just thinking maybe some garbage time. Honestly, their QB is the best offensive player we have because, he just keeps throwing, or at least a few years ago, he just kept throwing interceptions to us. It was laughable. But I think this is a good ass kicking coming their way from WKU.
Yeah, we're definitely going to continue that 2100 day plus streak. We're going to stretch it out to 2400 days because obviously we're not going to play them for another year. So I like our chances as well. I think the new hire has revitalized them, their school, their community, their alumni. But I just think year one is going to be kind of a wash for any new coach, no matter who that was. Short of them bringing in a Nick Saban or somebody of that caliber, which Derek Mason, I'm sorry, is not. I think he's a good hire. He's familiar with the area, the territory, the recruiting grounds. Seems to be recruiting, Middle Tennessee and Murfreesboro quite well. But year one is not where they're going to see those results in wins and losses. So, what is your score prediction for 100 miles of hate this year.
Oh, and I am going to say they are learning a new scheme, and those people down there, they're not the smartest ones, we might say. So I think some of them's probably going to be kind of slow at picking it up. I think Tops win 56-24. And I am, like I said, I am giving them too much credit by giving them 24 points, but I think we put in the fourth or fifth string defense, and I think Nick, I think Nick does get some in the end zone. Plus, field goal kicker goes out there once. I mean, come on now.
Goodness, 56-24. I mean, I'll take it. If you're right, I will take it all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Chick-fil-A's closed. I don't care. I still want it. I want that chicken. I got WKU winning 34-21. I think it's a comfortable victory. I don't think it's ever in jeopardy or doubt. But this rivalry game always seems to be a little bit closer than what it should be. Tensions are high. Stands are empty when you're in Murfreesboro, but it should be a fun and easy game for us. Hopefully, whoever's starting at quarterback gets a chance to rest early. Second string, third string. Maybe one of the freshmen comes in. Who knows? We'll see. But I think we definitely win this game. I don't think we have to worry about them for a couple years. So moving forward, our next game is against UTEP. We actually have a bye week after Middle Tennessee, and then we play UTEP in week 6. We host them in a midweek game. It is on Thursday, October 10th. The game is a 7 p.m. kickoff and will be on ESPNU. Now, WKU does lead the all-time series 4-0, and last year we won 21-13. UTEP finished last season 3-9. They were 2-6 in conference play, and they fired Coach Dana Dimmel. Then they went on and hired Coach Scotty Walden, who was formerly the head coach at Austin Peay. He has an overall coaching record of 34-20, and he's only 34 years old. So probably, without looking it up, probably one of the youngest coaches in FBS. Just a young guy, obviously has some experience at Austin Peay. We played them just a couple years ago. So it should be a fun rebuild for them. I think there's a theme here of us playing first year coaches. I think now in our first 6 games, we're looking at 4 first year coaches. Now, all of them so far have been coaches that have coached previously, but 4 first year coaches in our first 6 game. I mean, that can't be a disadvantage to us. New program, new starters, turnover, new systems, etc. But what do you think about this UTEP game and just how it looks on paper, Tyler?
Well, I want to start out by saying Dana Dimmel. That name reminds me of a cartoon I watched years ago. Is he the owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome? It's a fairly odd parents reference. Dad joke. So they were picked 6th in the Conference USA, and like you said, we won all 4 matches up with them. Last year's was kind of a close call. I think we ended up winning 21-13. It was not our best offensive outing, we might say. And they are returning 9 players, 4 on offense, 5 on defense. And they do have Scotty Walden. He comes from Austin Peay. And he's bringing 5 starters from there, where last year Austin Peay averaged 34 points per game. So I feel like they're going to be upgraded on the offensive side of the ball. Now, I mean, I can be wrong. I hope I am, because I just don't like the UTEP Miners neither. But I feel like this should be an easy win for WKU.
Yeah, it's a rebuild. I mean, it's a new coach. They're bringing players from an FCS school up to Conference USA, which, we've called up entire teams, but those teams have obviously they've redshirted a lot of players and planned for that movement. Whereas, Coach Walden getting hired was kind of just they got rid of Dimmel, and honestly, I thought MTSU was going to look at him to be a coaching option, but he ended up down there in Texas at El Paso. Um, but I think it's going to be a rough year for him. I just don't think they're going to see year one returns on wins. So, Tyler, what's your score prediction for UTEP?
All right, so I changed my score right when you were talking there. I think we start the conference 2-0. It's a good record. I think we go down there, or we play at home. I think we win 31-14.
Yeah, I think that's that's a good score prediction in my opinion. I think 31-14 is better than what it obviously was last year. 21-13 was tough. I think our second half woes were well documented last year. I have us actually winning 38-14. I think we take care of UTEP. I think we win handily. Um, hmm? That 14, yeah, I know. We're
Yeah,
close.
I was gonna
We're
say just
close. We're
right here.
close. We're close again. We're very close. We don't compare notes. We don't share them. We do have some talking points shared, but we're not sharing the score predictions. So, these are kind of off the top of the head and a surprise. But I think it's a obvious victory for WKU. I think we have an advantage in talent in every phase of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. So should be an easy win. Obviously, we have to go out there on the field and do it. But then our next game is going to be the following Wednesday on October 16th. We travel to play at Sam Houston State. The game is scheduled for a 6 p.m. kickoff and will be on ESPN2. Last year in their FBS debut, they finished 3-9. They were 2-6 in conference, and they're coached by Casey Killer, who is entering his 11th season as the head coach. He has an 88-36 overall record. Last season, WKU won their game by a nail biter of 28-23. And our only other game at Sam Houston State was in 2004, and we lost 54-24. So we don't have a lot of serious history with them. Just two games, with a 1-1 record. One of those in 2004, one of them last year. So, kind of another upstart team, moving up to Conference USA this last year. But quite frankly, they played us close last year, which we've talked about our woes and our struggles last year and what could have been and would have been the reasons for that. So, Tyler, what's your thoughts about Sam Houston for the 24 season?
This team, last season they finished 3-9. They did, like you said, they upset us last year. But I think we're going in to Texas to play this team. They're returning 8 starters, 8 on offense, 4 on defense. They did, this team played a lot of teams close. If you look at Liberty, they played at Liberty, and they only lost by 5 points. I think their 3-9 record kind of betrays them a little bit. But they did lose their QB. They brought in a high-powered JUCO QB that had 1,904 passing yards and a 55% completion rate, and led his team to the JUCO national title last year at Iowa Western. Last year, they did lose the final 2 regular season games by a combined 5 points. So they weren't scared to take on the high-powered offense. And I don't know if that momentum will carry into this year or not, but I think we should be ready for a fist fight down there at their place.
Yeah, going on the road is always tough. I think we saw that last year. Every game on the road is not a gimme, no matter the level of play or if it's FCS call up or whatever it is. You go on the road, you better bring your A game and just execute, not turn the ball over. And points could be at a premium. So, nail biter win last year. What do you have it looking like this year?
I think it's a little bit more comfortable this year. I'm going to say WKU wins 35-24.
We are so close in our score predictions. That's crazy. I have us winning by 34-17. So we double them up, but still, we're just, a point, a touchdown away from being pretty similar there. So kind of crazy. Both of us have us winning. So moving forward, Our next game is against Kennesaw State. It's after a bye week with Sam Houston. We host Kennesaw State in a Wednesday night midweek matchup. The game is set for a 6:30 p.m. kickoff. It's on ESPN2, and this will be the first ever matchup between Kennesaw State and Western Kentucky. This is obviously Kennesaw State's first year in FBS. Last year they finished 3-6. They're coached by head coach Brian Bohannon. He is entering his 10th season as head coach, and he has an overall record of 71-30. Um, so again, a new FCS, coming to FBS school. We did this a few times last year. It feels like Kennesaw State, right in the heart of Atlanta, a lot of talent there. Redshirted a lot of talent last year, so I feel like this is one of those unknown kind of wild card type teams in Conference USA. They have been known to run a little bit of a triple option offense. Will kind of throw you a curveball. They're not a high scoring passing offense like typically you see in the Conference USA. I don't know if they'll adjust or adapt coming into, but I think if Brian Bohannon is in his 10th year, he's probably going to stick with what works. So Tyler, how do you see this game playing out on paper?
Well, like I said, they are an unknown quantity. With this being their first trip to Bowling Green, they are returning 16 players, 7 on offense, 9 on defense. Their QB, from the stats I've seen, he has 1 start under his belt and 53 passing yards last season, but he does have 206 rushing yards, so he can be mobile. On defense, they do return 7 players who topped 20 tackles last season, with their highest returner being 40 tackles and 30, 27, 24, 24. So I believe they can be decent. They do have a veteran group on defense, and they did switch to a new pistol option offense last season. So they got that underneath their belt. They may be trying something new here. Looking at last season where we went through against newcomers to the Conference USA, I don't think it'd be a good idea to overlook them, but I still think we welcome them with a victory. We welcome them by WKU winning, and I don't want to be a copycat, but I will say one thing: if we don't do like a scary themed, fight song or something like that, Scary Tops. I mean, Demon Eyes. It's a night right before Halloween. Let's do something special for it.
Yeah, this is one of the hardest games that I had to predict a score because of, one, they're unknown, 2, they're coming up from FCS, 3, they redshirted a lot of players. They have a really good and experienced coach, and they just run a tough offense that can be hard to defend if you're not ready for it. Now, I know we've been ready for a triple option and that pistol type offense, multiple backs in the backfield and, basically almost having a fullback type player back there. But, this was a tough one for me to call on paper. But what do you have it looking like, as far as a score prediction?
Oh, I hope this score don't come back to bite me in the butt. I have WKU winning comfortably. I mean, I may be kind of having some kind of superiority complex, but I think we win 42-20.
Well, I'm right there with you. I have us winning, not quite as comfortably. I mean, you have us 20, 3 touchdowns plus. I have us winning 31-21. And my main reason for that, a little bit lower scoring, is because they do run the ball so much. It could be one of those games where they try to slow down the clock and kind of like Troy did last year, just take the air out of the ball and make it a low scoring affair, and maybe that tends to their favor. But I still think we put more offense on the board than they do. We both have us winning, so Tops win, you win, we lit, baby. Move forward. The next game we play is at New Mexico State. That is on November 9th. The game is scheduled for a 5:30 p.m. kickoff on the ESPN networks. This is WKU's first trip to Las Cruces, and we are 0-1 against them all time, with our first meeting being last year. Last year's loss cost us a chance to play in the Conference USA Championship game. They finished 10-5 on the season. They were 7-1 in Conference USA play, and they eventually lost to Liberty in the Conference USA championship game. The team was decimated in the offseason by head coach Jerry Kill resigning, and then their starting quarterback Diego Pavia transferring to Vanderbilt. They lost. I forget what the exact number was, but it was like 70% of their production from last year. Several of their coaches, a lot of their players went to Vanderbilt. I think Jerry Kills there is like an analyst now. Diego Pavia is there, probably fighting for the starting quarterback position. So it's really hard to gauge what to expect for New Mexico State in the 2024 season. Their new head coach is Tony Sanchez. He's the first-time head coach, and he's a New Mexico State alum. He was the wide receivers coach the past 2 seasons before being elevated to head coach. So again, another first year coach with this team, but he is also a first time coach. So coming from a position coach now to being the head coach, obviously the team and the players rallied around him, helped get him hired. So good for him. But I don't think this is going to be the same New Mexico State that we saw last year here at Western. That was just tough to stop with Diego Pavia and just a dynamic and elite offense. So, Tyler, how did this game look to you on paper?
Myself, I'm sorry. I had to unmute myself. Revenge time. We threw some picks. New Mexico State walked away with a W, and I had to eat some crow courtesy of a defensive backs coach. So thank you for that. But new season, new chance to beat them. Like you said, they welcomed in new head coach Sanchez, who has been understaffed with Keel, so he does have experience there. They only return 8 starters, 5 on defense and 3 on offense. Their quarterback, I saw had 1 start at Wake Forest, where I feel like he has some experience, but it's Wake Forest. But they do have some transfers and JUCO players, and they do have a deep running back room, and their defense could be a problem, and their defense may be a problem for our weapons. We don't know. With only returning 3 starters, I feel like we do have a good chance of putting up some numbers against them.
Yeah, this is probably the second hardest game for me to pencil in a score because so much unknown. Kennesaw State was kind of in that same boat. I have no prior knowledge of them other than what I read in the Field Steel magazine. And he's pretty knowledgeable about them and thinks pretty highly of their coach. And New Mexico State, turned over a lot of their coaching staff, a lot of their roster. If you keep up with them on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, their team accounts seem pretty optimistic that even though they've turned over 70% of their production, they think that they're just going to be, right there, championship game material, like they were last year. But, I think they're really understating the value of Diego Pavia last year. Without him, they're not the same team. I have a hard time feeling that losing 70% of their production from last year, that they're going to be on that same par, that same level. So at this point, they're going to have to show me, they're going to have to prove it to me. But, how does this team and how does this score look on paper to you?
All right, and I would like to correct a mistake. I said their starting QB was from Wake Forest. That was the second string, and they also have a transfer from Kentucky, actually, and he is listed as their third string. So first string, Parker, Awad, I don't know anything about him. I changed my score up again while you were talking. I was originally going to do 42-21. I knocked it down to 35-21 Tops win. Because you're right. There is some unknown here, and we play at their place. I don't know if that coach who tweeted at me still there. I kind of hope he is, because I might throw out some other keys of victory that he can put on the blackboard or chalkboard and be like, see what they think about you, and prove me wrong.
Yeah, I remember him saying, "No ball hawks, huh? No ball hawks, huh, Tyler?"
It actually lives in my head rent.
They
Like, I'm
they
glad I live in his head rent free.
they had one ball hawk. Congratulations, coach. You had one ball hawk. He's probably, I don't know, but he probably transferred to Vanderbilt. Sorry, coach, if you're still there. So you have a 35-21 victory for WKU. So comfortable. 2 touchdown victory. I have us a little bit more comfortable than that, which is odd for us. Usually you're on the more comfortable side, but I have us winning 41-17. I think we put some offense on them boys. They don't know what's coming. We about to hit them with that. So 41-17, Tops win. New Mexico State, little revenge game, revenge Tops, like you mentioned earlier. Then our next game is on Saturday, November 16th. We host Louisiana Tech for our homecoming game. The game is scheduled to be an 11 a.m. kickoff on CBS Sports Network. The all-time series is tied 5 games apiece, with both teams winning 5 and losing 5. And WKU has won 3 of the last 4. And last year we won the game 35-28 behind just a huge monster game from Malachi Corley. I think we all remember the 200 plus yards and 3 touchdowns that he had, and just running over somebody on the sideline. Um, just a Malachi Corley, stamp of a signature of a game. Last year, Louisiana Tech finished 3-9 on the season. They were 2-6 in conference. They're coached by Sonny Cumbie, who's entering his 3rd season as head coach. He is 8-21 overall as a head coach. And this honestly, just from a Conference USA perspective and just keeping up with some other Louisiana Tech fans, this kind of feels like a do or die season for him. It's his 3rd season. They've been 3-9 his first 2 seasons. He also had some games as a Texas Tech interim coach a couple years ago where he won a couple games. But, at Louisiana Tech, has just not, been able to turn the corner and win some games. 3-9 in back-to-back seasons. Formerly, he was the offensive coordinator at Texas Tech, where he is an alumni. And actually, his hiring by Louisiana Tech is what domino effect cost us to lose former offensive coordinator Zach Kitley. Because when Cumbie was hired from the offensive coordinator position to be head coach at Louisiana Tech, that's when Texas Tech hired Zach Kitley away from us to be offensive coordinator at Texas Tech. So there is kind of a full circle, just kind of a just a storyline. Not much of one because Kitley's not here, but if Cumbie had never been hired, maybe we still have Zach Kitley, and who knows what the offense looks like. But Kitley was hired to be the offensive coordinator at Texas Tech, which is also his alma mater. And honestly, I just think Cumbie's seat is very warm before the season ever begins. And I think if they have a poor start to the season, that I would be almost honestly surprised to see him make it through the entire season as the head coach. I think it's become more and more popular for teams to, let go of a coach, fire a coach before the season ends, just so they can get a head start on the coaching carousel. Honestly, just keeping up with, Louisiana Tech friends and other podcasts on Twitter. I mean, honestly, they're at the point of, their attitude, their demeanor, their expectation for the upcoming season is about as low as I've ever seen, most any fan base, about as low as I've seen, even the MTSU and Rick Stockstill days, back when they were just, 6-6. And when the season began, are we going to win any games? And then they'd upset somebody, and then they would get happy, and then they'd lose to Texas Tech or, Tennessee State, or just somebody they shouldn't lose to. And I've even seen, Louisiana Tech fans say we could go 0-12 next year. And that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. I hope Western Kentucky is never in that position, where we just feel like, there's no digging out of it. I feel like we've been in that scenario before where we just didn't feel good about it, but I feel like we got out of it really quickly. We made an adjustment. We made a hire that at the time may have seemed a little quick triggered. After 2 seasons, you change head coaches. You don't give a guy a chance to get a full roster, full recruiting cycles. But we made a change because our expectations weren't met, and we saw the immediate dividends of that on the field with wins and losses. So, I hate that for Louisiana Tech, but you know, they're going through it right now. It could be a rough season for them. It's been a rough couple seasons for them. Tyler, how does this game look on paper for you?
All right, so we have won the last 3 or 4 last meetings, and last year, you're right, we had to get that big NIT, the interception to win the game. And this year, La Tech returns 10 starters, 5 on offense, 5 on defense. Cumbie calls our linebacker unit their strength on defense, and they're switching to a 3-3-5 defense. They will be ready to stop pass and apply blitzing pressure. So we have to get ready for that. They return 8 players that had over 20 tackles, with the highest player having 60 last season. On offense, Phil Steele says their running back and O-line unit is their strength, so our defensive guys got to be ready to get around the edges and shoot the gaps, stop the run and get pressure on the QB. But ever since the 21 season, their record has been a steady 3-9. And is this year that changes? I mean, I don't care. Don't think so. Top's winning, baby.
Yeah, and another interesting storyline is that former WKU wide receiver Jimmy Holiday transferred to Louisiana Tech. So I didn't write that in my notes, but I did just think about it while you were talking, and while I was just thinking about where my score prediction is going to go. I don't think that'll help them. We have a new offensive coordinator. We have a lot of new weapons on the offensive side of the field. So, I mean, if Jimmy trying to give them a peek into what we could do or may do, I mean, best of luck. I mean, I don't think it's going to work out well for him. But Tyler, what's your score prediction for Louisiana Tech?
Hey, you're right. Jimmy Holiday is slated as a starter, one of the starter wide receivers. I think Tops win this one by 10. It is a comfortable win, but 38-28.
I say I'm not far off of you at all. I'm actually 41-21. So you're 38-28, 10-point victory. I'm a 20-point victory. So a few points higher for us, a few points less for them. I think it should be a comfortable victory. I mean, quite frankly, by this point of the season, they might have fired a head coach. I mean, I truly feel like if they are floundering and struggling to get 3 wins, that they could be firing Cumbie before the season ends, just to get a jump start on the head coaching carousel and who could be out there. Because Louisiana Tech does have a proud history of football, basketball, athletic success in general. So back-to-back multiple 3-9 seasons just doesn't sit well with them. And he was brought in expecting to be an offensive mastermind of that air raid thought process from Texas Tech. And it just hasn't translated for them. And I don't think it turns around for them this year. I think it's going to be a rough year for them, and I think we win handily. And then we look forward to our next game, which is us traveling to Liberty on a Saturday night. The game is scheduled for a 12 p.m. kickoff and will be on the ESPN networks on November 23rd. Now, Liberty does lead the all-time series with WKU 4-0, including last season's 42-29 victory en route to finishing with an undefeated first season in Conference USA. They won the Conference USA Championship, and they appeared in the New Year's Six Bowl as the G5 representative. Last year, they finished 13-1 overall, with their only loss being to Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. They are coached by second-year coach Jamie Chadwell. He has an overall coaching record of 111 wins and 58 losses. And Liberty is the nearly unanimous preseason favorite to repeat as Conference USA champions as they return quarterback Caden Salter and a ton of weapons on both offense and defense. And I think their biggest question mark is who is going to step up as wide receiver, as they lost their main option to LSU in the transfer portal. But they're still loaded with talent. They're loaded with resources. And just returning that dynamic of a quarterback is tough to beat. So Tyler, how does this game look on paper to you going to Lynchburg and playing at Liberty?
Dang you, Liberty. This is their senior night or senior day. They returned 14 starters, 6 on offense and 8 on defense. Of course, they returned their star QB and running back who has both topped 1,000 yards rushing last year. On defense, they lost their Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year, but they are more talented and experienced. But their secondary is unproven, so we might be able to at least get some in there. And I think we just got to try to see what Oregon did to them last year. Now, it is going to be tough because it's Oregon. But, man, this is going to be an uphill battle because they are playing on senior night. The stadium's going to be sold out or dang near close to it. I think this is going to be a tough game, a really tough game, man.
Yeah, it's a game that I'm hoping that I can make the trip to. I haven't penciled it in as a definite road trip yet, but it's one that is on my short list of I'd like to go if I can go, and usually I make those decisions closer leading up to the game, just depending on what's going on with family and work, etc. But I hope I can make the trip over. I heard the campus is beautiful. I heard their facilities are great. And obviously, I think we hosted them pretty well last year, and I hope they can return that favor next year. But like you said, I do think it's going to be a tough game on the field. I really respect them as an opponent. I think they're going to be tough to beat. I think they are the preseason favorite for a reason. I think between Caden Salter and Quentin Cooley, they're going to have one of the best rushing attacks in the nation again, like they did last year. It's really going to just come down to their defense and can they be balanced with a bit of a passing attack, which they had last year. But that wide receiver room being questioned. Will they have someone step up? Who will step up? That is a question mark at this point. But they are going to pass the ball. Just somebody has to step up and catch the ball. So, Tyler, what do you have this looking like as a score prediction for the game versus Liberty?
I would be amiss to say that their option style offense still gives me nightmares. I remember sitting in stands with you and watching them run the exact same play. Like, oh, don't do that. Don't, no. I remember seeing them, I think the same play like 3, 4, maybe 5 times in a row. Me and you both knew what was going to happen, and it did. I do think we lose this game, but it's a score of 35-31.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is one of those games that I can't pencil in as a win for Western Kentucky, just on paper in the preseason. Now, a lot of stuff could happen between now and this game when it actually occurs and plays out on the field. There could be injuries and, us playing above expectations or Liberty playing below expectations. There could be a lot of variables between now and when this game actually happens. But just right now, my gut feeling is we don't have the full roster talent to beat what Liberty has. And I think that's going to be an annual battle. I think they are right there on the level with us in a lot of athletics. I think it's going to be tough every single year. I think it's going to be us and them competing for that conference championship. Maybe not across the board, but in a lot of sports and definitely in basketball and football on an annual basis. But I have us losing this game by a score of 38-35. I think it's a tough game. I think we play better than we did last year. I think it's not a secret to say we didn't play our best offensive football last year. We had a lot of injuries and variables and just Austin Reed and just everything that happened last year is what it is. Our offense was at, I think 29 points per game when we had been consistently above 40 points per game for several years in a row before that. We want to get back to that point, and no matter who is the quarterback this upcoming year, and the offense, the wide receivers, the offensive coordinator, the offensive line, we want to get back to that point. But Liberty is also going to be a high output offense. They're going to be a ball control offense with that number one rushing offense from last year. They're going to be doing the same thing this next year. I mean, if they have a lead late in the game, they're just going to milk the clock. We saw it last year. They just, put the ball in the belly of the running back. Quentin Cooley or Caden Salter would call his own number and pick up a first down, extend drive, and, put the game away. That's the name of the game. Win the ball game. If you have the ball, the other team can't score. So I think it's a tough road to hoe for, either one of us looking at this game. I think it's a loss. I hope we're both wrong. I think both of us will say that. We both would hope we're wrong. But on paper, this looks like it could definitely be a loss. But we'll see. That's why we play the games. On paper, who knows? But on the field, every game's winnable. So we'll see. And then we close out the season with a home game versus Jacksonville State. It's our senior night. It's on Saturday, November 30th. The game is set for a 2:30 p.m. kickoff and will be on the ESPN networks. ESPN or WKU does lead the all-time series 4-2, but we lost last year's game 17-20 in Jacksonville State's inaugural year in Conference USA. Jacksonville State finished last year with a 9-4 record. They were 6-2 in Conference USA, capped off with the win versus ULA in the New Orleans Bowl. Now, Jacksonville State is coached by Rich Rodriguez, who is in his third season as head coach. He has a record of 18-6 at Jacksonville State, but he is 181 wins, 125 losses, and 2 ties overall as a head coach. And Helton, for all things considered, he has yet to lose a senior night game as Western Kentucky's head coach. And actually, if you look at it as a bigger picture than that, since 2014, when we joined Conference USA, we've yet to lose a final home game, the senior night game. We've yet to lose a senior night game since 2014. So 10 years in a row. And this is one of those tough games. It's a revenge game. Rich Rodriguez always brings a tough offense, a tough team to the field. But in my opinion, this game has revenge factor written all over it. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts about this Jacksonville State matchup?
All right, so they returned 9 players, 5 on offense, 4 on defense. They lost Zion Webb, their QB, who was also a dual threat, but we do know that they like to run the ball still. So their backup QB is there. They also lose their top two running backs, top 2 wide receivers, and 5 of their top 6 tacklers are gone. But their 3 returning tacklers did have a combined 179 tackles between them. And like I said, we all know they like to run the ball. So hopefully our defense can at least contain them and force them 3 and outs. And it's good to know that history is on our side, because in my notes I had, we ain't lost a senior night in 10 years. So hopefully that trend can continue this year and we make it 11.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game regardless. I think Jacksonville State is a up-and-comer and a team that will be in that top echelon of Conference USA. I mean, they were good last year, don't get me wrong, but I think they will consistently be in that consideration, in that conversation of, potential conference champions right there with us this year. I think Liberty is the obvious one in this league, and I think a lot of teams, a lot of people look at us and Jacksonville State as kind of 2A and 2B. So should be a fun game, should be a revenge game like we have mentioned. So what is your score prediction for the Jacksonville State matchup?
All right, so the Tops win. It's not very comfortable, but Tops win it 34-28. And hopefully their kicker don't take his helmet off. And I think he was pointing he had ice in his veins last season or whatever. I think he's gone. I hope he is. And I hope he stubs his toe every day whenever he gets out of bed, his pinky toe. I don't like it.
Yeah, your score and my score, as usual, pretty close. I do have us winning. It's a close contest. I have us winning 31-28. I think it could be just one of those tough grind out, gritty victories that we need. Somebody, a quarterback, a wide receiver, somebody to step up and just make a play, win the game down the line. So you had us 34-28. I have us 31-28. So looking at our overall records, what we have the teams finishing now, both of us have us finishing 3-1 in out of conference play. Our only loss to Alabama. Both of us have us finish 7-1 in Conference USA play and finishing 10-2 overall. Just going down our quick list, all 12 games, how we think it plays out. But I do have to ask some questions, just like we did last year. There's obviously going to be more to the season and the schedule and just how these games play out than just what's on paper right now. We know who the starters are penciled in. If everything is perfect and on paper and plays out how we want it to, maybe this is how it plays out. But I do have to ask you, let's look at this from a different scope. What if, the wheels fall off and we just have a ton of injuries and just things just don't go how we plan, new offensive coordinator, potentially new quarterback, definitely a new starter full time. But, what if we just don't have as great a season as we hope for? What, in your opinion, Tyler, what's your floor record? How bad is as bad as it could be if we don't play up to the WKU standard of football this year?
See, I'd like to say 6-6, but I think it'd probably be more like 5-7. I feel like, I would hate to go 500, but I think the lowest, and we would have to drop games that we know and we can win. But I think 5-7.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to you. I think 6-6 is our floor. I think it's just looking at some of the teams and the La Tex and the New Mexico states and the Kennesaw states, like, respect you. There's some unknown there. To go along with EKU and just some other games that I think we definitely win. I think 6-6 is our floor. I think that should be our floor every season. I think a bowl eligibility should be our floor. But yeah, just with the schedule and just how it plays out, I think our floor is 6-6 this year. Now we both talked about who we expect to beat. We both expect to go 3-1, 7-1, 10-2 overall. But that's pretty lofty. But if what is the ceiling for this team if everything went perfect, if we outperform our expectations, if TJ Finley or Caden Velkamp or whoever is wide, quarterback one, and these new wide receivers and returning wide receivers and Elijah Young, and a young, untested defense, if everybody just outperforms what's on paper and what Phil Steele projects, what's the ceiling of the record for this WKU football team entering this season?
I mean, if everyone comes out and just plays balls to the wall, lights out, I'm gonna say 11-1. I think it's Alabama. I still think that's our one loss. Would I love it? We beat Alabama, and then if we have to lose another game, Liberty. I would still love to get that money and waltz out of Tuscaloosa victorious, but I still think we go 11-1. That's our ceiling.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this team plays to their full potential and their full ability of just offensive and defensive firepower. We can absolutely run the table in Conference USA, and the only penciled in loss for sure would be Alabama. And if that needle in the haystack, if that 1 in 100, if that Appalachian State over Michigan upset type of vibe happens, I mean, who knows? Let's get crazy. Sickos be out there. It could happen. But I think 11-1 is probably the ceiling for this team. I think that'll be hard to come by. I think we're going to have to play a lot of good football. I think we're going to have to, determine a lot of roles and expectations and starters and execute very well for what we have, and all the unknowns that we've talked about with position breakdowns and just going over these games. And there's a lot of unknowns on both sides. We talked about 5 of these teams have first year head coaches. I think that plays to our advantage for the most part. Now 4 of those 5 are former head coaches. It's not their first time in the position, with only New Mexico State and Tony Sanchez being the only first time new head coach. But I think a new head coach in 5 of the 12 games is an advantage to us, as far as that team, that program adopting to a new system, new plays, etc. I think that plays to our advantage in 5 of the 12 games. So I think that definitely helps. It doesn't hurt us, in my opinion. So I definitely think 6-6 and 11-1. You went with 5-7 and 11-1. So I'm comfortable with both of those. I think we're going to finish somewhere in between there, like we both um, hypothesized on our game by game wins and loss. But you know, and this could be a multifaceted answer. I think obviously with that first game of the season, but who or what do you think is our hardest game of this season?
Well, I'm for sure going to say Alabama. I think at Boston College, you go into a P4 team's home. That's a hard. I think no matter where that or who, that's a hard game to win. Liberty on senior night, and I'm probably going to say Kennesaw State. Nah, I'm just joking. It'd be crazy if it is though. But I think those 3 will probably more than likely be our hardest games. It in Boston College, I'm not going to say Toledo, but I think Boston College, just because it is a Power 4 program, and it's going to be probably a crap ton of people there, and I just think that's going to be a hard game. And Liberty is, as you said, they're always a difficult team. It's going to be between us two. And with them having that QB and that running back coming off a 13-1 season, just a 1-loss season, I think that momentum's going to carry with them. So if you ask me, that's my hardest games.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I mean, obviously Alabama's going to be a tough game. I mean, Alabama is Alabama, no matter who's coach there, if it's Nick Saban or Kalen DeBoer or whomever they hired. I mean, it's still Alabama, one of the all-time mecca of a great programs. That will be tough. I mean, hopefully we walk out there with 1.9 million reasons and a lucky victory. But looking beyond them, like you said, Liberty is going to be a tough game. Defending conference champions, they will be in that conversation depending on how their season goes, to potentially be, that G5 representative in the expanded 12-team playoff this year. And then I also think that Boston College game, like you highlighted, I mean, they're running quarterback, and then I think they have a couple running backs, including Kyle Robichaux, coming back next year, which, until we prove we can stop the run, which was our, just a big time Achilles heel this last season. We have to prove we can stop the run and just keep people honest and make them drop back and pass. I feel really good about our secondary, our linebackers, and our defensive line, but we have to be able to stop the run to put people in those positions where it is behind the chains. It's second long, it's third and long, where they have to drop back and pass the ball. If it's, 2nd and 4 or 3rd and 1, and every time, and they just, get under center and hand the ball off for an easy 2-3 yard gain, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to extend the drive. They're going to extend the play and the clock, and just keep it moving and out of our offensive hands, which I think will be a really good offense. But I think just could be tough games for us. with the talent that they bring to the field in both Boston College and Liberty. Alabama's kind of obvious there, but it's just a few tough games. It's hard to pencil just one hardest game because I think we have several, but I think we can win them at the same time. They're not unwinnable games. So it should be fun. I'm really excited for it. Do you have anybody penciled in as a must-win game, just a game we have to win this coming season?
I'm going to have to say if I can pick two games, uh, one's for sure going to be Liberty. We just got knocked them off their high horse. Sometimes you can be up in the atmosphere. You got to come back to earth sometime. And hopefully this is that year. Hopefully we can walk in there, bust them in the nose, and walk out with a victory. And then I'd probably say, honestly, Jack State. Last year they beat us on a walk-off field goal. And that is our senior night. So, that's the last chance that them players, the seniors, are going to be able to play there in Houchins, in Houchins-Smith Stadium. So I feel like definitely Liberty is a must-win. So is Jack State.
I went with a couple of different games, actually. So surprisingly, our notes don't match up. But I went with Middle Tennessee. Got to win 100 miles of hate. Got to beat those guys. 2,100 plus days now and counting. I think we have to beat them. We definitely can't let them beat us in a rebuilding and new coach year. Their heads would literally explode on Twitter, and their three fans probably just wouldn't shut up if they happened to beat us. Their SSN and their middle updates, whatever other accounts. There's another troll account. I can't think of his name, but those three accounts just would not stop if they happened to beat us in year one of Derek Mason. So I don't see it happening, but we do have to go on the road and play them at Murfreesboro. So we have to win that game. Then I also circled the Liberty game. Just one because we've never beat them in our short history with them. They beat us the PKT year. They beat us last year. They're just going to kind of be that constant year by year thorn in our side. It's going to be a tough ball game. We both have it penciled in as a potential loss. But that's why the games are played on the field. I think we both had it as a nail biter win last year, if I recall, coming into the game, or a close game, if nothing else. But, we were favored to win the conference last year. We know how that turned out. They're favored to win the conference this year. You have to play the games on the field and just see how that plays out. So I think, we have to win. We have to win those close games. Last year, that must-win game came down to New Mexico State at home with the conference championship game on the line. We just couldn't get done. We couldn't beat Diego Pavia, and they went on to play in that conference championship game, and and then go to the roster, and it's a whole new year. So that's what we're looking forward to. But man, obviously, really excited. We're another day closer to the football season kicking off now as we record. I mean, we're literally 3 weeks away from heading to Tuscaloosa. Football's upon us. Soccer is about to start. Volleyball will be right behind it. Football right behind that. So man, there's just a lot of excitement on the hill. The football season, just breaking down each position, each player, people leaving, coming, starting, impact they're going to make. And now, almost 2 hours now full of just talking about each and every single game on the schedule, and just how tough it's going to be and what to expect, and if we're going to win or lose, and what they bring to the table. Like, it's fun. And I love just doing this process. And it's fun to talk about these games on paper before the season begins, but man, it's even more fun when they start playing here in a few weeks. Fall camp is, pads are popping right now, as we're talking. Fall practice is underway. Position battles are happening. Even though we have people penciled in as starters, you never know. We think TJ Finley's going to start. You never know. could be Caden Velkamp. Injuries could happen at multiple positions. Who knows? Last year this time we had Mike Matheson penciled in as our wide receiver 2. He got injured into fall camp and never saw the field last year. And now, people all of a sudden, as he's rehabbed and progressed and is ready to play this year, people have forgotten that Mike Matheson is him. He's number 4. He's wide receiver 2. No matter what he's listed on the roster, no matter what Phil still list him as, he is going to be a monster, and he's going to wake and remember people real quick that he is that guy. And I'm kind of glad that he's under the radar. But I just think this football season, like every football season, is just going to bring a lot of unknown, a lot of unexpected new names, new faces, new stars, adversity, wins, losses, games we should win that we lost, and games that we lose that we should have won. And just, it's going to be fun. That's just what football is. It's real life. And I'm excited for it. I'm glad that we've been here to talk about it, literally all summer. You're literally on the verge of welcoming baby number 1 into the world. And we're here talking about football, but we're going to give you a couple weeks off. We're going to pause recording wise. We're going to pause for a couple weeks and let you have baby number 1, bring it into the world. But then we're going to preview Alabama in just a couple weeks and get ready for Tuscaloosa and just the fun that trip should be and the experience that it's going to be, and the season that is at that point going to be underway. I mean, we'll be days away by the time we record that. So just excited for it. Obviously, I'm happy for you and your family as you're, a day plus away now as we record. So, man, it's fun times for us, fun times for WKU, fun times for you. I'm really excited for just everything going on as we wrap up the summer. School's coming back in session real soon, and sports are firing up real soon. And I'm ready to go, man. It feels like it's all here, it's all now, but we've got a few weeks till it really happens. But hit us, Tyler, with your final words and take us on out of here.
Man, I just want to say thank you for all the kind words. By the time, whenever we play Alabama, my baby, little baby boy, he'll be a few weeks old, and I'm going to get him. Going to try to find him a Crimson Tide diaper to poop in, just so I can, say, hey, I just poop on you, Crimson Tide. No, it should be a good game. Me and the wife are excited. I know she's ready to get him into the world because it's been hot and she's been absolutely miserable. But I want to speak this into an existence because I just finished my first season on Dynasty as Western on College Football 25, and Alvin Smith won Heisman. Elijah Young was running back of the year, and I'm just going to throw that out there and put it into the ether. People believe I'm going to speak into existence. Dalvin Smith, hot take, Heisman winner. But football season is here. I'm excited for it. It gives me something to listen to and watch. I work first shift, so I should be able to make it to a crap ton of home games this year, maybe some away games. That's still in the cards. But man, let's go, man. I mean, it's something that I'm excited about because you're right. We have talked about it all summer long. We've been doing the research. We've been looking at names and numbers, stat line. I hope the fans have enjoyed this journey with us as well because, I mean, doing this does make you a better fan. And I hope everyone educates themselves on the team that's being put out there on the field because it just makes everyone better. And it does make you more educated if you want to talk trash on the social medias or anything like that. But with that, I'll say, boy, who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Go Tops.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See you.